like to start by introducing the panel and, of course, the topic, which I understand is elements of mystery in young adult fiction. So I'm Alison Baird. I'm your moderator for this panel. I'm a Canadian author of fantasy fiction for both adult and young adult readers, and I say not because I have books on the young adult market and the adult market.
I'm Matthew Peterson. I'm the author of Hero World Zero, which is kind of like a Harry Potter meets Star Wars science fiction fantasy with a lot of mystery in it as well. In fact, and I'm really excited because the second one is more of a murder mystery, so this is a good panel for me. The audiobook just came out. In fact, it should be on Audible and iTunes like next week, so it's kind of...
I'm Cinda Williams-Chima, and I write young adult fantasy. I have a 3-book series out from Hyperion. I guess you would call it urban fantasy, except in my case it's probably small town fantasy. And I have a new series coming out from Hyperion as well.
And good morning, I'm Brenda Cooper. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I write, primarily I've written hard science fiction. I wrote a book with Larry Niven, and I've got these two that came out as adult books, but most of my fans seem to be young adults.
I'm Deborah Beale. Is this working? Yes. I write young adult fantasy fiction with my husband Tan Williams. And my background is that I was a corporate book publisher for about 13 years.
I was in a creative writing class before I was published. That was held at my university, the U of T. And I submitted for this course a short story, which was in the fantasy genre. It was what we call talking animal fantasy, where there was no magic or anything in it. And the clever little idea, which I had for this, was that it was about a meeting between whales and underwater. And of course, whales rely a lot less on vision than they do on their hearing because they communicate through sonar, they detect shapes through sonar. So the little twist at the end of this story was that one of the whales is Moby Dick. The others couldn't see his color. So I had that at the very end. And I had finished reading this aloud to the creative writing course because we had to do this. We had to read our little submissions to everybody else. And one member of the course, whom I considered a bit of a literary purist, was sort of sitting back with a superior expression. And he said, "Well, that wasn't much of a surprise. I knew that was Moby Dick right from the get-go." And then the woman sitting next to him said, "No, I don't think that's fair because I didn't guess until the very end." And then at this point, a third person said, "That was Moby Dick?" Whoa! 3 different people, 3 different readings of the same story.
Well, like J.K. Rowling, as you had just said that, I mean, she had put so much effort in making sure that her last book, wasn't released until the last second.
Good luck.
Yeah, but then it didn't, and she was so angry that someone did spill the beans.
That's the reality that we live in.
To help prevent the readers to finding out what the ending is as they're reading the book, by putting clues, red herrings, leading them astray, those type of things.
I think a lot of the suspense in our books is atmospheric, and it has to do with bringing the camera in really tight to our characters. Have you ever seen that in a movie where you know something's going to happen because you're looking out of the intended victim's eyes? So I don't worry so much. I know that of my readership, about a third will know, who the secret warrior is from the first chapter, and others at the end of the book will be going, "Ah!" And that's okay because the people that figure it out early feel very smart. And the people that don't figure it out until the very end, it's just amazing.
I mean, I remember when the first Harry Potter was published, that didn't really, on the inside of the industry, that didn't actually look that new. It was another version of Enid Blyton's boarding school stories. Also, but what was new about it, of course, was the fact that it was married to this incredible realization of magic and fantasy. What I think Stephenie Meyer has done that is new is there's nobody like her who has so buried a romantic plot. The one absolute constant in those books is that the heroine from start to finish is there to be loved and adored. And I loved, what I thought was really great about that is it really captures that febrile, forbidden teenage sexuality. And I thought that that was, and I think that the fact that she's a Mormon writing those books is very significant. Because, you know, sex is like kind of so, you know, off limits really if you're going to be a thorough practicing Mormon, until you can have it within the bounds of marriage. And I've only read the first and the last because I was bored with them as well as admiring them. But you know, the character doesn't have sex until, you know, marriage in the fourth volume. And so I loved those, and I thought they were very different, and I was enormously disappointed in the plotting. Now, here we are doing a panel about mystery. Stephenie Meyer seems to me to be an author who does one thing so extremely well that very many, and she's had so much success, boom, from the get-go, that all the other things that should have developed in her, like plotting, learning to plot a mystery, and learning how to use her MacGuffins, and learning how to, you know, do the J.K. Rowling's absolutely brilliant red herrings. You know, I never knew what was going on with Snape, not even after the end of the sixth book. You know, I was just completely blown by that. But, you know, that was brilliant. Book to book to book, you know, where's Snape, what's Snape, what's... That was brilliant. Stephenie Meyer doesn't do anything like that, and I was radically disappointed in those books because of that. And the endings are just so... You know, I mean, they all, you know, boom, they arrive just in time. Or everybody gets together and it's going to be a big showdown, and then they all agree. And I thought that was such a cop-out, and I really look forward to Stephenie Meyer in about 10 years' time if the money hasn't got to her.
How important is plot, and how important is surprise? An example that comes to mind, not from the book world, but from the cinematic world, would be M. Night Shyamalan, where the whole darn thing rests on this final plot twist. And if that's spoiled for you, there's no point in seeing the movie. There is nothing but the twist. There is nothing but the surprise ending.
Like you were just mentioning, like The Sixth Sense, and you know, those movies, and
the first couple were good.
I've only seen it one time because it's like, well, I already know.
But after a while, it was like,
yeah,
the twist is it.
I think though, as an artist, as an author, the readability, rereading the book, you need those other things more than
Absolutely.
just the twist at the end. The twist at the end is wonderful, but I guess you could put, you could reread the book to see the little snippets that the author had put to let you know about the twist. And you're like, oh, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. One of the things I did with my book before it was published is I sent out surveys to several dozen people. And I asked them questions, and of course I wanted to find out, did you know at the end when this person and this, because there were several mysteries, and I wanted to find out where in the book did you find out that this was the case. And it was really curious to me, the same experience that you had, that a lot of people, most people didn't know the main mystery, but others knew the minor mysteries. And kids, on the other hand, which is what my audience was, most of them didn't catch any of them. Any of the mysteries, but the more mature adults that have read a lot more did catch them. So to me that was kind of an interesting thing, an exciting thing too, because then I know that they'll continue to read the book again, reread it, and catch those mysteries that they didn't catch, you know, in the first place. So doing that, making it so it's a book that they could actually reread and catch these things that were there. If it's just like a Sherlock Holmes, where, you know, someone mentioned in the last panel, I was talking to someone last night, all of a sudden, at the end, you know, here's what happened, you know, but the reader had no clue whatsoever, that there was no clues. It's a cheating. And so it's an exciting story, but the mystery of it is lost a little bit.